Hello, everybody. Today we're talking with Michael. Michael is a previous participant in a drug court program. How are you doing today, Mike?
Wonderful. How are you, Stan?
Great. Thank you for being here. It's going to be fun just rehashing some memories here, seeing what's happened in the meantime. So you were in the program a while back, complete experience from beginning to end. You were successful in the program. You graduated. I wanted to get your ideas about how you feel about drug court. For instance, say the role of the judge. How do you feel about the role of the judge?
I think the Judge Raffetto, very complete in every way. He held me accountable for any mistakes. He was harsh, but the reason he was harsh was because I made mistakes.
Clarify that, please.
He was no nonsense. If you made a mistake, you were going to jail. He didn't put up with any nonsense. And over time, it was very appreciated. He taught me to be very accountable for my actions, to learn to be a better citizen, if you will. He was I can't say the word no nonsense, but he did have a heart. He was very understanding, but like I said, he held me very accountable for any mistakes. He's a military man that I respect, and I think he wasn't in it to condemn people. He was in it to help people, and that is hard to find.
Well, to help people, it's like he was giving people a second chance, people who did mess up somehow along the way. But from his heart, he believed in giving second chances. And that's what I think I hear you saying now.
Absolutely. He gave me a second chance at life. I was facing 30 years in prison. I'd never been in trouble in my life. I didn't have the easiest upbringing by any means, but I needed some lessons. And Judge Raffetto definitely helped me with that. He held me very accountable, and he was fair. There was no gray area. It was black or white.
So no nonsense, fair. He gave you a chance.
Absolutely. The chance he gave me was a new lease on life, I would say. I made a giant mistake, to say the least. But he taught me that I needed to account for my mistakes and pay the price, but also gave me that second chance at redemption to be a better person. I've been successful.
He was stern, he was fair, but you could also see where he had a great sense of humor too along the way, huh?
He was hilarious. I know a little bit about him personally, the loss of his son, which is tragic, which I think in turn gives him a bigger heart for people in the circumstances I was in. And he has a good judgment of character in the sense of, are you a real criminal or did you make a mistake? And when you make a mistake, you definitely need to be held accountable, and you have to pay for your crimes. But at the same time, you do have an opportunity to have a new start. And he gave me that. And I'm very appreciative.
These are good points. Are you a criminal or did you make a mistake? Say more about that.
I made a mistake. When I lived in Hawaii, I didn't know anybody. And I fell into the easy friend group that was lowbrow, if you will. I wanted to be popular. And being popular meant breaking law and trying to be a badass, if you will. And that's not me. And Judge Raffetto definitely recognized that I made a mistake. There's career criminals, and then there's people like me that just made mistakes, bad judgment.
Without mentioning any names, though, there were some career criminals mixed in the groups, huh?
100%. Well, I won't mention names, but that's one of the things that I think is important is the fact that you group. It's like sending somebody to prison for getting into a car accident and putting them in a room with the mass murderer. It just doesn't make sense. I think there should be some improvements to the drug court program, which would be making groups in similar experiences.
Like if you have low risk, low need, you don't put career criminals in with low risk, low need. High risk, high need, that's a different deal, but you don't mix them.
Yes, I've been fortunate to travel the world and meet many types of people, and not everybody fits in the same group. Like for myself, I'm not a violent person. I'm not an angry person. I definitely didn't have the greatest childhood, but there's no excuses for that. But then there's the next guy that did have a violent upbringing and horrible things happen to them. Well, they need a different type of care than someone like me. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I think it needs to be individualized.
There you go. I think people will recognize, I think listeners will understand that. And just to clarify, if I understand you correctly, do not mix violent career criminals with first-time offenders, because it's like oil and water. It's just not going to work.
Yes. And that's the other thing. I'm not discounting. I mean, everybody's got their issues. And I'm not saying just because you're a career criminal, it doesn't make you a bad person. It means that this is what you know. And it's important to get education to learn new habits and learn new ways of living. But there's different types of therapy for someone that is a career criminal as opposed to someone who made a mistake. That's just how I feel.
The shot at redemption that you mentioned earlier, the shot at redemption for them will be totally different than the shot at redemption for a first-time offender.
Absolutely. I'm so fortunate. And I can honestly say drug court scared me to death. I was so afraid from start to finish. I remember getting a phone call saying I had to turn myself in to MCCC. And I was just like, wait, can I just not do that? Which was non-negotiable. But I got busted for drinking on my way to court. I shouldn't say that. I had alcohol in my system, and that was against the rules. And they threw me in jail for 128 days.
Oh.
And what a wake-up call that was.
Right.
Because I didn't really fit in there. I just didn't fit in. Trying to be a criminal, I wasn't trying to get over on the next guy or the CO or anything like that. I was just trying to get through this and continue with life. The fortunate thing was when that happened, it showed me how to follow the rules a lot more. Facing Judge Raffetto and being held responsible for my actions, it was a great learning experience, something that I'll never take away. It was great for me because I'll never forget those days. And it's in the back of my head, don't make that mistake again, because you don't want to go through that again. Life's a lot easier, all the rules.
Yeah, I gotcha. Listening to you say that, I can feel it. I can feel the sincerity. One term that you had mentioned was redemption. That kind of goes, to me, hand in hand with recidivism, at least in terms of the drug court's goal. And one of those goals is to reduce recidivism. By giving you a chance at redemption, and then you having been successful in the program, they will have achieved their goal of reducing recidivism because you have not recidivated or returned to those crimes. Is that correct?
Is it okay if I say what my crime was?
If it's okay with you, it's okay with me.
Well, I got caught with a controlled substance, we'll say. I didn't do the substance. I never tried it, but I never want to be around it for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Anybody involved with that type of thing, I never want to be around. And I just keep with the recidivism. It's pretty easy for me because I experience how hard life can be when you're trying to cheat the system and make fast money and be stupid. But for me, I'll take the hard road, which is working ethically and doing things. Sometimes the hard way is hard, but in the long run, man, it's so rewarding. There's a huge reward to laying down in bed at night and knowing I did the right thing. And legally, ethically, and I'm not scamming anybody. I'm not hurting anybody. That's a huge thing that people don't talk about. And I'm going to say, being a drug dealer, you're hurting people. And I think that's horrible. And I never thought about it when I was involved in it. Mm-hmm. But going back, I wish I could take some of that back, because some of the people, they don't exist anymore. And it's because of their addiction. And I'm happy to be living a life where I don't hurt people anymore.
When you say they don't exist anymore, do you mean they died?
Yes.
Okay. Died. Some are probably in prison.
Some are in prison, some are in the dirt.
And some are out still dealing and still hurting people.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's that old behavior that the drug courts are trying to correct, and that's the criminogenic thinking, criminal activity, dealing drugs. Now, you having learned from that situation, you're more on the pro-social side of life, and you have your own business.
Yes.
Say more about your business.
I moved back from Hawaii to the mainland almost 3 years ago, and started doing some roofing, not swinging a hammer, but the business side, sales. And I got my LLC because that's how it works when you work for a company in this type of business and sales. And then I realized I could do this on my own. And already having a business license, I got bonded, I got insured, I got my license. I have 3 different crews, roofing, siding, gutters, and I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life. And I'm making it legitimately.
That's terrific.
It's funny. And even today, I didn't tell you this, I spoke with you earlier, but I ordered my first yard signs today to put up in customers' yards. That's just going to bring me more legitimate business. I've done roughly 20 houses this year, which has brought me over $100,000. I can't believe it. And I haven't had one phone call from any customer other than saying, I want to refer you. All the work is perfect, very particular. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of the people going through drug court and having the issues that you have, whatever it may be, it's interesting. If you put your focus instead of into the meticulous drug dealing towards a legal business, amazing what can happen.
That's funny.
Amazing.
So let's say people who are dealing drugs, and some of them, there's an easy sell, there's a hard sell. But if they put that same effort into something legitimate and pro-social, just look what could happen, like the success you're enjoying now.
Exactly. I never did drugs. I just sold them, and I'm probably selling myself out right now. But I remember when I first started selling drugs, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to transfer this from this bag to this bag. And then you get meticulous on the weight and all this. And I'm like, well, how about do that on a roof? And the law won't get you. It's a lot easier. And actually, it pays a ton more.
Yeah, you know what? Judge Raffetto would just be so happy to hear this. Is it okay with you if I share the link to this podcast with him?
100% okay.
It's okay with you for me to publish this podcast on YouTube then, huh?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And on top of that, I'm going to be coming to Maui at, I want to say June. And I would love, if possible, to have dinner with you and Judge Raffetto.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I remember we spoke earlier, and I remember my graduation day, and I'm like getting choked up thinking about it. But Judge Raffetto cares. And I wonder if he realizes how much he's helped people being a tough judge. Because I remember when my lawyer said, you're facing Judge Raffetto, you're screwed. He's no nonsense. And I was like, oh, shit. But then at the end of the day, I was like, this is the best judge I could have had because he helped me.
He's helped so many people.
And I hope he knows that. He changed my outlook on being a good person. And when I got out of drug court, I'm kind of changing subject a little. The day I got out of drug court was the biggest relief of my life. And I did have a short period of figuring things out where I wasn't dealing drugs or doing anything illegal, but I was partying because I felt trapped for 2 years. And then I started realizing this is not good and went back to the things Stan, obviously, you, and Judge Raffetto, and even Kathy held me accountable big time. She had a nickname as a drug court counselor that was like something that she was going to put me in jail.
Terminator.
Determinate, yes. But at the same time, I'm like, that's what we needed. You need structure. You need to be held accountable. And if you screw up, it's time to pay the piper.
Yeah, that's true, because there's a lot of time and effort that's put into helping the clients. Just imagine the expenditure. You've got a judge, you got a prosecuting attorney, you got a public defender, you got a defense attorney, you have social workers, you have counselors, you have case managers, you have the drug court administrator. Yeah. You see how much is paid out just in salaries. And then it's the building, it's all these, collateral costs. So, just like now, you as a businessman, the drug court and the criminal justice system are looking for a return on their investment too. So, the ROI of drug court is very important. They not only want to reduce recidivism, they want to reduce the cost of crime. It sounds like it's working. In your situation, it sounds like it's working according to plan.
I don't know if it's drug court or me, but whichever it is, it's working out. And I'm very thankful. I mean, I come from a divorced family. I've lost family and friends over the years and gone to counseling, since I was a kid. Nothing more. But there is something to be said about the fear of jail. If you're a reasonable person and you go into court and realize, holy shit, I'm facing 30 years in prison, I have two choices. I can make a change or I can keep going the way I'm going. That's something that I think people that are coming into, whether it's drug court or counseling or just therapy, do you want to make a change, is a very important thing. Because if you don't, you're wasting your time. But if you do, work at it. I mean, I'm not perfect. I haven't done everything perfect. I've had struggles and I will continue to. But when I wake up at the beginning of the day and when I go to bed at the end of the night, I'm proud of myself because I'm doing the right thing.
You brought up some really important points, and it reminded me about motivation. And, jail scared you. Do you think you were more away from jail motivated or more toward success motivated?
I would say success motivated.
Okay. There's kind of a balance there then. You're able to balance it like, okay, if I do this, I'll go to jail. But if I do this, I can be free.
Yeah, I wanted to be successful. I think that was the forefront. I wanted to be successful to be free. But the back door was unexpected in the sense of I didn't expect for it to stick with me, and the freedom to have that effect of, okay, if I keep doing the right thing, it's going to be okay. Like life is going to be okay. And so I wanted just the freedom at the beginning. And then as I went on my journey, which I'm still on, I'm realizing that if I just do the right things, it's long term and I don't have to be concerned. Like I don't even think about the police or like crime or anything like that anymore.
So you've passed that criminal thinking and conduct stage where you're not. Okay. All right. So whether or not you've transcended all that, 100%, or you're still in maintenance could be a question. But let me ask you something that's very important here. It's something that you said made me think about this. You've changed your beliefs about this. You've changed your values and attitudes about the old behavior and the new pro-social behavior. And I'm just wondering what your opinion is about permission granting antisocial criminal thinking and conduct beliefs. That's a big mouthful and it's a lot to think about.
Okay, can you repeat that?
Yeah, permission granting beliefs about criminal thinking and conduct. Because, they have these permission granting beliefs and that's what leads them into the crime.
Are you talking about like justification?
Justification, yeah.
Entitlement?
Rationalizing, mollification.
That doesn't even enter my mind. What I think about is doing my work and then I get to do what I want. I don't justify anything. If I don't complete the job, I don't deserve anything. And I don't feel very entitled. I think that's a problem with a lot of the people today. And I'm not saying young, old, white, black. It's across the board. People feel entitled.
Let me squeeze this in, the entitlement. Now, today you don't have that. Your beliefs are today that if you do quality work, you will have earned the income that you get. As opposed to a drug dealer or someone who, like a career criminal, they have these permission granting beliefs and values that allow them they feel entitled to that they can sell drugs instead of working an honest tax-paying job like you're doing now.
Well, not only that, when I was selling drugs, I just sat on the couch and waited for a phone call, and there was never a lack of phone calls. That being said, I wasn't doing anything. And today, if I do the job well, I get paid. And this is going to sound weird to some people, but one of the things I liked, and this is not a good thing, but one of the things I liked was a challenge in selling drugs. Like, how much can I sell? And when I was doing that, I would challenge myself, and then I would sit and go, who's going to rob me? I got robbed more than once. I've had guns in my faces, or the police going to come any moment. Now I do my business, and my challenge is, how can I make it perfect for the customer?
Now, instead of how many drugs can I sell, how much drugs can I sell, how many brews can I do this month?
Exactly. And it's actually the same challenge.
Sure it is. The same neurotransmitters that get fired up.
It's exactly the same thing. And actually, it's more money. Like, a lot more money. I'll give you an example. I have a customer. He's my last customer of the year. His insurance company gave him $3,500 for his roof. Well, I don't know anybody in the world that can put a 2,600 square roof on for $3,500. So my challenge was to work with the insurance company. And I fought and fought and fought and fought, and I turned it into $23,500.
That's good work. I got to congratulate you on that. Not a lot of people would have followed up that way. They just would have said, sorry, Charlie, and gone on to the next house,
Well, the thing is the customers kick ass, and I'm getting a $10,000 profit off of one job, and I don't have to break the law. I get to walk away and be proud of myself. And there's something to be said. When I was doing the bad things, I didn't feel good about myself. I walked differently. I dressed differently. I played the part, and I wasn't proud of myself. Now I walk with my head high, proud of myself, happy to tell people, hey, I can help you, direction to be helped.
That's such a positive. That's great to hear that.
Well, I can say you were a fundamental part of my recovery. And I'm going to give Stan a little shout out here. My favorite thing in drug court was visiting with you.
Well, thank you. I always enjoy talking with you, too. We had a great exchange.
Absolutely. But also, you always challenged me to be better, number one. You allowed me to be honest with you, which I think that was the biggest thing that I was able to do. I wasn't able to be honest with some people in drug court, including the judge, but with you, I told you the truth, and you had the confidentiality. So I was able to be real with you, and that helped me. And I think it's important for somebody going through any of this. They need to find somebody that they can be confidential with and trust them, that they're not going to get in trouble for being honest.
Yeah, it's a collaboration. And there has to be trust between the two parties, and there has to be effective communication.
Yeah, I mean, if
good
if
points.
you're saying, I'm going to go kill somebody, yeah, you got to tell on them. Like,
to do it, you got to tell that one.
Yeah, that's non-negotiable. But things in the past of like, oh, here's what I did. I didn't hurt anybody. Like, I did giving them drugs, but I wasn't like malicious. But it helped that I felt comfortable with you and that you gave me a space to be honest.
Well, I appreciate that.
Not as much as I do.
Before we run out of time here, I wanted to ask you about your opinions about AA. There's a lot of criticism. I remember a lot of drug court clients used to kick and scream about AA because it was required back then. I understand it's no longer required from drug court, but I have found that if a person with an alcohol problem was fortunate enough to connect with a really great AA sponsor, nothing but good can come out of it. I don't see any harm in AA. How do you feel about that?
I 100% agree. I've never gotten in trouble in two places, AA or church.
So good points.
I'm not a big fan of either. Well, church has been difficult for me just because of my personal opinions. AA, I think, is very important, especially at the beginning of sobriety. I think having a sponsor that is holding you accountable and has the ability of saying, "F off." If you're not going to follow the steps at the beginning, you can beat it. That being said, I think in drug court, there's no harm in it. I have no bad feelings about AA. I have read all the books. I still struggle to go to AA because I haven't found a good sponsor myself. But I've seen the results. My cousin Ryan, and you can use his name, he'll be more than happy to hear that. He just got 5 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
he was the worst drunk I've ever seen in my life. And he's completely turned his life around. And the reason he has is because he had a great sponsor and a good program. If you're going to go to A, you need to have a good sponsor and a good program, and you have to commit. If you're not going to commit, don't waste anybody's time.
Yeah, you got to want to. You and I both know graduation day and or shortly thereafter, people are using drugs already. If it's an illicit drug, a controlled substance, they've already recidivated because it's against the law to use that drug.
I remember, this is funny, I have hair now, but do you remember I used to shave my head?
Yeah.
I was afraid, like I was sober throughout drug court, 100%. I think I had a beer like the last couple weeks when Miss J caught me, but she didn't catch me. And I was wrong for that. But I remember worrying when they did the hair test, like, did somebody put something in my food? And then it was all good because I didn't do anything. But then I watched other guys go down because they were doing it. And that's a shame. It's a tough thing to beat, and you're never going to beat it. At the end of the day, you're always going to struggle with addiction. That's the bottom line.
It's maintenance, it's control, eventually.
You have to take control of it and be responsible.
Right. So taking control and being responsible after graduation. So now we're talking about something like aftercare. What would be wrong if there's no formal aftercare program? What would be wrong with a person attending AA or NA?
Nothing. There's nothing wrong with attending that. I think that's part of maintenance. Like people will say, and this is kind of a funny thing with, like, for example, alcoholism, you have what's called maintenance drinking.
Uh-huh.
To where it's like, I'm not going to get drunk. I'm just going to drink enough to where I don't shake. But at the same time, you're still getting drunk. A better maintenance is to go to AA. Find a good sponsor. Find therapy. When tragedy happens, this is a big thing. When tragedy happens in your life, because it's inevitable, when a family member dies or something like that, don't be afraid to seek therapy. It's helpful.
Yeah, therapy, counseling, AA, and staying away from slippery people, places, and things.
That's one of the biggest, is staying away from slippery people, places, or things. I surround myself by very quality people these days. Very straight edge. And what's funny is a lot of people will look at, oh, well, they're straight edge and they're no fun. Wrong. They're awesome. I get to do so many fun things with my straight edge friends. I go skiing, I go hunting, I go on a combine to farm, which is way out of my wheelhouse. But I enjoy those things, and I'm with people that are solid. There's nothing wrong with being straight edge. It's actually more fulfilling.
Sounds like you're enjoying the good life and a self-fulfilling, self-satisfying life.
Yes, sir. 100%. I still can't believe it. When I was in the bad place and doing wrong things, I didn't leave Kihei for 6 years, I think. Like the town of Kihei, I stayed for 6 years. I've traveled the world since then because I can afford it and my money's not dirty. And I go have fun. I mean, I just got back from Puerto Rico 3.5 weeks ago. Had a blast. and didn't do anything off the radar. Did everything correctly. I'm going to Chicago in January. After that, who knows?
So if people give it a chance,
It's worth it.
the new life can work.
Absolutely.
Michael, I want to thank you for your time today. This has been great chatting with you. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Well, I want to thank you, Stan. Mr. Dokmanus, you have been an inspiration to me, and I am more than blessed to consider you my friend.
Well, thank you. I wasn't looking for that. I was just wondering if you had any other comments. I appreciate that.
I know you weren't searching for kudos, but it's heartfelt and you're helping people. And I can't say enough of the help you've brought me. And pretty much everybody knows who you are of my close friends. And I consider you a close friend. And I'm very privileged to be a part of this podcast. So I thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you. And I wish you continued success.
All right. Thank you, sir. I wish the same for you.